Last night, Blake Lively broke her silence regarding the Justin Baldoni drama, appearing on Late Night with Seth Meyers.
And there's actually video footage of her pointing like this.
Blake Lively is unraveling after Seth Meyers unintentionally stripped away the mask behind her meticulously crafted public persona.
Now I'm afraid to know too much about star signs, but yeah.
It's really hard to watch her now, I can't lie. It is really hard to watch her be this fake person.
Behind the designer gowns and polished smiles stands a woman using motherhood and media spin to evade accountability. She's no victim. She's the model of elite privilege, hiding behind performative empowerment narratives.
What I can say without going too into it is that this year has been full of the highest highs and the lowest lows of my life, and I see so many women around afraid to speak, especially right now, afraid to share their experiences, and fear is by design. It's what keeps us silent.
Let's talk about what really happened on Late Night with Seth Meyers in April 2025. Essentially the most awkward, overproduced, manipulative PR stunt we've witnessed in years. Because nothing says relatable woman of the people like arriving in a massive white wedding gown seemingly lifted from a royal wardrobe, then changing into an entirely different outfit solely for the walkout during a heavily staged television exit sequence.
To be on this tour that's painting herself as a hero for all women. And it's pretty frustrating how Seth and just Hollywood in general seems to be accepting it.
She entered as if it were the Met Gala, not an interview. The dress unable to fit Seth's chair, leaving her swallowed by fabric, so enormous it practically demanded a segment of its own televised.
Out the gate, there's just a level of awkwardness because, yeah, the dress doesn't fit his small chairs.
There are certain guests where I'm like, I really should just go back to a suit for tonight. This is a fantastic outfit.
Your wedding gown?
And for what purpose? To persuade us she's experiencing the highest highs and deepest lows of her life. That's the way she sold it. A classic victim speech, practiced and polished, with just enough trembling voice to seem human. But here's the richer irony. This supposed tell-all moment aired days after Blake was subpoenaed by Justin Baldoni's legal team recently.
You can't believe everything you hear, you know? And, that's what it's feeling like because there's more evidence and stuff that's painting the picture that Blake Lively's not being honest. And also, what are you afraid of? And what did he actually do?
She's been legally compelled to turn over texts, emails, and every behind-the-scenes message tied to it ends with us. And rather than confronting that reality head-on, she chose to spin across late-night television draped in chiffon and performative humility.
And of course, she spoke to Seth Meyers beforehand on how they could, they had to mention something about everything that's been going on. And she said on his show that she couldn't talk that much about it.
And let's not ignore the final layer on this disaster cake. Outlets like Daily Mail and Page Six were already pushing glowing puff pieces about the interview before it even aired. That isn't organic media coverage, it's a planted press rollout. You don't have to be a Hollywood insider to sense the desperation. Blake's team is clearly working overtime, force-feeding headlines into the algorithm like a student cramming an essay at 3 in the morning. At this point, she's essentially running a full-scale distraction campaign cleverly disguised as a press tour.
I also acknowledge that many people don't have the opportunity to speak, so I do feel fortunate that I've been able to.
I don't know what to say. I feel like right now, the people that are most upset with Blake Lively.
Speaking of distractions, let's talk about her and Ryan's full-court paparazzi push, because suddenly these two are everywhere. Red carpets, talk shows, conveniently timed autograph moments, perfectly staged street candids popping up nonstop. At this point, it's no longer subtle PR. It's a full-on public saturation assault designed to keep their faces unavoidable and the narrative tightly controlled.
And Blake Lively, they're everywhere. We cannot open any website with any entertainment news without seeing them wearing something different in every photo, in every occasion, and posing in front of the paparazzi, signing autographs.
Their faces are popping up more often than ads for sugar-free gum, and none of it is accidental. The strategy is painfully simple. Overwhelm the public with smiles and couture until the lawsuit fades from memory. Blur the timeline, serve a look, and pray no one realizes a career is quietly sitting on legal life support.
Smiling, being happy, and feeling popular. It's exhausting. So this is what they're trying to do.
And what does the media do in response? They dissect her wardrobe like it's a matter of national security. People magazine ran 2 full articles just about her outfits. Yes, 2. One focused entirely on the oversized white gown, the same one she could barely sit in, complete with breathless details about the plunging neckline, layered ruffles, and sparkling open-toe heels, as if any of that mattered more than what she was actually avoiding.
Of course, she arrived in style in a white gown or dress. White is the color of innocence. I don't think that was a coincidence. I don't think anything with Blake Lively right now is a coincidence.
As if we couldn't see it ourselves. Then came the second outfit breakdown. Hair half up, half down, soft curls, multicolored drop earrings. Truly groundbreaking. Meanwhile, not a single word about her real legal issues, the ones involving actual subpoenas and real accusations.
Trying to overwhelm us with appearances. So all that negativity that they received will be pushed down in Google and on social media, because now it's all about them looking pretty, looking in love.
And we can't overlook the peak narcissism yet. Right outside Blake and Ryan's upscale New York apartment, someone, guess who, arranged for a poster of another simple favor to sit directly across the street. So every time Blake opens the curtains, her name glares larger than Anna Kendrick's. That's not a billboard. That's a shrine. She's literally constructed a monument to her own vanity.
A lot more in the movie. She's carrying the movie. So Blake isn't even in it that much. But yeah.
And here's the kicker. When the movie dropped on Amazon, viewers revolted so fiercely that IMDb had to remove reviews. Yes, actually remove them. People were flooding it with 1-star ratings in protest, and the backlash wasn't just noisy. It was intense enough that Amazon allegedly delayed displaying the audience rating altogether.
Stop. Seattle Times is saying the plot is a mess and the runtime is overlong. The Guardian says another simple favor drops threads and drags on, but survives on its self-assured baseline pleasure.
Let me guess what Blake did next. Slipped into another dress and pretended it didn't exist. But the critics weren't fooled. The Washington Post hit it with a 1-star rating. The Seattle Times called the plot a mess, and Globe and Mail pleaded, please stop. This isn't a comeback. It's the meticulously staged breakdown in heels.
What's going on? The clips I've seen, it just reminds me that Blake Lively is not a great actress, and apparently Anna Kendrick is a lot more in the...
Now, let's break down the Seth Meyers interview, essentially the softest softball session since T-ball. Seth dodged every real question like he was playing dodgeball with lawsuits. Did he ask about the allegations? Nope. Did he press on the subpoena? Of course not. Instead, they spent 5 whole minutes discussing ICE.
Starts awkward out the gate and shows just admits to how controlling this couple actually is.
Emily is a changed woman in this movie. She drinks martinis with ice.
That's very exciting.
Which is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
If you saw the first one, you'd understand why she has beef with ice.
Yes, I was like, yeah.
Do you in life have beef with ice?
No, I love.
Yeah, literal frozen water. Seth asked if her character in the movie had beef with ice, then if she had beef with ice. Then Blake, in full quirky charming mode, started singing a Frozen song like she was auditioning for kindergarten karaoke night. We're talking about ice, ma'am. You're being sued. Why are you singing?
I like ice too. I think the first time we got an ice machine in a refrigerator.
Anyway, they go on a whole monologue about ice. Blake Lively starts quoting and singing from Frozen, and it even quotes our Honest trailer. We are making ice. We did that in our Honest trailer. I was proud of that song.
Then Seth hits the classic, I'm not fully informed on this case line, which really translates to, I know everything, but I don't want to get sued or lose access to celebrity guests. And Blake? She seized that moment to pivot the conversation to her sob story about her kids, because when in doubt, play the motherhood card. She claimed her daughters are her lifeline and that she has to be Disneyland every single day for them. First of all, Blake, you're not Cinderella. Second, you've been hopping from red carpet to gala to TV set. When exactly are you fitting in all this Disneyland-level parenting?
nice though, because they're honestly, I mean, it's no surprise I've had like a pretty intense year, and like they're just my lifeline. Like no matter what day I'm having, I have to be Disneyland every day for them, and so it's.
They're my lifeline, and then she turned it. You hear how she did that? It's been she sets it up so it's clearly open for now. Seth can bring it in.
And we can't skip the whisper. As the interview wrapped, Blake leaned towards Seth and thanked him repeatedly. Not just a casual thanks for having me, but a desperate string of thank yous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was as if she were relieved he didn't ambush her with a single real question. Watching it felt like seeing a student thank a teacher for giving them an easy exam, completely revealing how rehearsed and calculated this entire PR stunt truly was.
Lifeline. Oh, they've taken me away. And there's one where you're like, oh, it's so sweet. You can go be with your kids because they don't read all the news and they'll love you. They're unconditional, etc. But then she's like, it's like I have to pretend to go into Disneyland every day. Oh, it's such a chore for me. It is so hard. It is so hard for me, people. Oh, will you please give me more empathy? Because it's so hard being Blake Lively right now, having to go to my nannies and everybody and all these trips where clearly my kids are.
Look, this wasn't an interview. It was a full-on damage control campaign with commercial breaks. Blake arrived in a gown large enough to have its own zip code, dodged every real question, changed into a second designer outfit mid-show, and fed us rehearsed lines about her hard year while actively sidestepping the legal chaos she's embroiled in. This isn't bravery, it's branding.
The whole thing just starts awkward out the gate and shows just admits to how controlling this couple actually is.
Emily is a changed woman in this movie. She drinks martinis with ice.
That's very exciting.
Which is a big deal.
That is a big deal.
If you saw the first one, you'd understand why it's a big deal.
The Princess Act is officially unraveling. One scripted interview, one forced Frozen reference, and one star review at a time. And just when you thought Blake Lively's performance couldn't feel any more hollow, she shows up again, draped in a blinding white gown, declaring herself the voice for every woman too afraid to speak.
Women who have had the ability to use their voice, that's kept me strong and you know, helped me in my belief in my fight for the world to be safer for women and girls. It's a pretty simple thing, but you know, nothing. Thank you. It's true.
Oh, how noble. Except, wait. What exactly did she speak up about? What groundbreaking, soul-shattering revelations did she share with the world? He smelled her hair. He said she smelled good. He walked into her trailer after she invited him. And then, brace yourself, he kissed her after she bit his lip.
Like I said, for all real victims out there, just watching her sitting up there in her little princess dress, talking about victims, by the way. Someone sent me this video today. I had heard about this incident, that it happened, but I hadn't seen any video proof of it yet. But here it actually is.
That's not a survivor's testimony. That's a poorly written Tumblr fanfiction circa 2012. You'd think with all the media training and glam squads at her disposal, she could at least craft an allegation that didn't read like a deleted scene from Twilight.
These things that she has accused him of, and then she comes on national television to talk about how she is the voice of all these women.
And we can't ignore the real survivors here. The women who have endured domestic violence, harassment, and systemic abuse. They aren't buying this charade. In fact, they've taken to every social media platform imaginable to call her out, and honestly, they have every right to be furious.
That side of it. From the Blake side, this idea that she's now being silenced, that she's the voice for all women, that infuriates me. The fact that she's now trying to become the poster child for standing up. Standing up to what? You had all the control in that set.
Blake turned their pain into a costume, draping it in couture, accessorizing it with tears, and strutting it on stage like it was a red carpet look. There's nothing empowering about weaponizing fake victimhood for clout, especially when it's used to overshadow someone else's career without a shred of evidence.
I don't know what to say. I feel like right now, the people that are most upset with Blake Lively are the real victims that have actually survived domestic violence and other forms of abuse, and then they watch her sitting there being there.
But wait, it gets better. She chose white for her Seth Meyers appearance because nothing screams innocence like a $12,000 custom-made, guilt-free ball gown. Blake didn't just want to talk about being misunderstood. She wanted to look misunderstood, telegraphing purity while delivering PR-polished sob lines. It's symbolic manipulation 101. Her entire visual presence shouted, "Don't question me. I'm fragile."
From these appearances that are telling me anything, you're not suffering any actual like work damages. Working just fine for you. People are still asking for your autograph, showing up at premieres. You're just forcing it down our throat. We're seeing it everywhere.
Meanwhile, she's steamrolling reputations and monopolizing media cycles like a corporate CEO in heels. And don't even get me started on that Time 100 gala speech. Blake stood before the elite and tearfully recounted her mother's near-death experience, claiming she was almost killed by a coworker.
She, as you know, spoke about her mother and her experience being almost killed by a coworker, that a lot of people now are speculating if that coworker was actually a woman, and Blake never said it was a man, so that might be, which is also one thing that I talked about it before, but
A lot of people initially assumed it was a man, given the empowerment narrative she's been force-feeding us. But twist, it turns out it might have been a woman. Now we're rewriting traumatic family history to fit a script. Are we just casually dropping shock value stories to stay relevant? It completely undermines the gendered victimhood she's trying to capitalize on.
That's kept me strong and helped me in my belief in my fight for the world to be safer for women and girls. It's a pretty simple thing, but nothing. Thank you. It's true.
1 minute she's standing up for women. The next she's muddying the waters with a vague horror story that does nothing except draw attention to herself. Classic Blake. Pure drama, zero clarity.
for all, like I said, for all real victims out there, just watching her sitting up there in her little princess dress, talking about victims, by the way.
Meanwhile, while Blake was busy performing moral sainthood, Ryan Reynolds was out being his usual fame-hungry self. Because nothing screams, "My wife is in legal turmoil," like hopping on stage at Green Day's Walk of Fame ceremony and hijacking the mic. Yes, Ryan flew to LA uninvited by the honorees and gave a speech longer than the band themselves. His connection? He used one of their songs in Deadpool vs. Wolverine. That's it. That's the entire link. And yet, he took center stage like he'd just been knighted by Billy Joe Armstrong. But the real danger isn't the bad acting or the wardrobe stunts. It's that these two have created a climate of fear in Hollywood. Journalists, actual credentialed reporters, have told Popcorn Planet's Andy Sayer that they refuse to touch the story.
Their experiences and fear is by design. It's what keeps us silent. But
Fear is from you. Everyone is terrified of you and Ryan. They are terrified. More on that in a second, but
Why?
Because Blake and Ryan are too litigious. That's the word they used. Not complicated, not controversial, litigious. That's code for, say the wrong thing, and their lawyers will have you sleeping on a courtroom bench before sunrise. And it's not just the press. Streaming platforms bailed on a documentary the second they realized it wouldn't portray Blake as a misunderstood goddess. Imagine that. Actual corporations too scared to fund a story unless it's wrapped in Blake-approved bubble wrap. That's not influence. That's a chokehold. The grip these two have on the entertainment industry is so tight that even late-night hosts like Seth Meyers are playing it safe, smiling through it like hostages with cards in hand.
this is, a late-night comedy show. But he's making it clear at the gate, like, I don't know all the details. But I don't know all the details. Just, hello, audience, I don't know all the details. But
I'm thrilled you're not doing Weekend Update right now because you would be quite informed. So it's good. Yeah.
And don't think for a second this is just about PR. There are real consequences for anyone Blake chooses to throw under the bus. The man she's been accusing, both publicly and privately, has basically disappeared. His agency dropped him, and he hasn't been seen in public since.
hard to see what you're really suffering through. Because if anybody's suffering, it's clearly the guy who's now lost his agency, his jobs, isn't out there doing anything. That's the one who's clearly losing things based on your ridiculous accusation.
This isn't a petty spat or a Hollywood breakup. It's someone's livelihood being destroyed in real time. And Blake's camp? They aren't interested in resolving anything. They're labeling every critic as misogynistic, uninformed, or anti-women. That's their entire playbook. Disagree with Blake, and suddenly you're anti-woman. Question her claims, and you're part of the problem. They're not answering questions. They're controlling the narrative, ignoring facts, and weaponizing identity politics and public sympathy to silence every opposing voice. And it's working because too many people are too scared to call out what's obvious. This entire circus is built on ego, fear, and one giant, designer-draped lie.
Something with birthdays.
Okay.
She's the funniest person in the world, but she will definitely rule the world with authoritarian leadership.
Well, that's something to look forward
I
to.
wonder where she got that from. I wonder where she got that from. She will rule the world with authoritarian, you heard her, leadership.
So here we are, one half of Hollywood's most overhyped couple draping herself in victimhood, while the other freeloads off punk rock milestones and hijacks microphones like an open mic night addict. The power they wield is intimidating. The silence they demand is even scarier. And the worst part? They're still acting like they're the ones under attack.
For all real victims out there, just watching her sitting up there in her little princess dress, talking about victims, by the way.
Page 6. Yes, the tabloid mouthpiece for celebrity spin, magically leaked Blake Lively's quotes before the interview even aired. You don't need a PhD in media studies to connect those dots. That wasn't a leak. It was a scheduled press drop. Her team practically sent out press kits in advance, loaded with approved language and curated talking points, because if there's one thing Blake Lively fears more than accountability, it's losing control of the narrative. Even Seth, who, let's be honest, played along like a well-fed chihuahua, teased the audience with, "We wanted to say more, but we gave you crushed ice instead." Crushed ice. Not even a full cube. Translation. We dodged the real conversation and spoon-fed you fluff. And they didn't even try to hide it, they said it outright. This was all window dressing, an emotional escape room, $5 empathy with a side of frozen quotes.
Everyone seems to have a problem with you. Do you have a problem with ice? Would have been funny.
Really,
I really like ice too. I think the first time we got an ice machine in a refrigerator.
Anyway, they go on a whole monologue about ice. Blake Lively starts quoting and singing from Frozen, and even quotes our honest trailer, "We are making ice."
Let's also talk about the room. The perfectly timed laughs, the robotic clapping, the complete absence of a single tough question. This wasn't an interview. It was a hostage situation with lighting. Seth's job was to smile, nod, and sell the illusion that Blake Lively was being brave. Meanwhile, she was executing a fully pre-rehearsed monologue, flipping the narrative from accused manipulator to empowered woman. They handed her the stage, the spotlight, and a big shiny applause sign, and even then, she still needed more.
She has this voice. And the worst part was that the audience was really applauding her. Can you imagine being Justin Baldoni and seeing something like that?
And it's the women who have had the ability to use their...
How do we know? Because as she left the stage, assuming no one could hear, Blake leaned in, bowed her head like she was at the Pope's altar, and whispered to Seth, "Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." Not once, not twice, but 5 times.
Watch this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you catch that at the end? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. For real. Thank you so much. Thank you for not screwing me over and making this worse for me.
Count it. 5 desperate, grateful, breathy thank yous. That's not gratitude. That's relief. Relief for not having the performance ruined. That's someone who knows she's teetering on the edge and just barely managed to pull off the illusion.
I had to ask you about it.
The reality is he is. The beginning of his show, A Closer Look, he talks about all sorts of entertainment stories, everything. Of course he knows. He's just saying that, Blake, to get away with being nice to you. Is how I see that, which is very telling.
But guess what? The internet didn't buy it. The second that interview aired, the gloves came off and the backlash hit like a freight train. IMDb literally had to remove public reviews for another simple favor because a tidal wave of 1-star ratings crashed the system. Viewers weren't reviewing the movie. They were protesting Blake. They hijacked the rating section like a digital riot and didn't leave until someone yanked the plug.
It was not funny or engaging is the reality. Even taking away the drama, it was a very mediocre, bland talk show appearance. And the drama clearly makes it more interesting. There's a curiosity factor, etc. And Seth is definitely doing her the solid of playing soft.
And can you blame them? While Blake was crying on cue and singing Frozen, people were remembering the actual accusations she made, like Baldoni offering her gene in a trailer scene and comparing that to, real abuse. She positioned herself alongside survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and harassment, all because someone said she smelled good and kissed her after a mutually charged moment. That's not courage, that's cosplay. And people were disgusted. Hashtags flew. Hashtag boycott Blake. Hashtag another simple failure. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, you name it. It was a full-blown roast fest. And not just from trolls. Legitimate entertainment columnists called her out as out of touch, overexposed, and a curated PR puppet. She's become the walking definition of Hollywood inauthenticity, and the public is finally treating her that way. Then came the low blow. She dragged her kids into the mess with quotes like, "I have to be Disneyland every day for them, and they're my lifeline." Suddenly, she's cast as the single mom in a Hallmark movie, all while jet-setting, outfit hopping, and touring the press like she doesn't even own a calendar. The audience saw right through it. You don't get to weaponize motherhood to dodge accountability. You don't get to cry victim while propping up your children as emotional armor. People aren't buying it, and frankly, they're sick of it.
Started based on bringing up her daughters.
Your daughters ever criticize your outfits?
Oh, yeah. No, one of my daughters has the same birthday as Napoleon and Jennifer Lawrence. So if you imagine like those two blended.
Is that how it works? Is that how birthdays work? You blend?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know.
Which brings us to the full-blown unraveling of Blake Lively's fairy tale brand. This isn't a comeback. It's a public meltdown wrapped in a designer gown. From Seth Meyers to red carpets, every appearance now reads like a cry for help disguised as a glam shoot. She's not rising from the ashes. She's burying herself under a pile of tone-deaf interviews, staged applause, and relentless PR overkill.
And Seth is definitely doing her the solid of playing softball, is what he's doing here. So plenty of people are going to be annoyed by him, but he's doing his job. This is what he does. He's getting ratings. He needs ratings.
You can change outfits mid-interview, Blake. You can cry into couture and hand out pre-written quotes. But the cracks are showing, not just to us, but to everyone. What was once America's stylish sweetheart now feels like a hollow performance. The voice shakes, the lines feel rehearsed, and the whole act is held together with Instagram captions and publicists probably drinking in shifts. And as if Blake wasn't crumbling enough under the weight of her own delusion, Ryan is still out there making things worse. Because what better time to pull focus than in the middle of your wife's legal hurricane? Whether he's crashing speeches or pandering as Deadpool, his entire shtick now just adds fuel to the fire. It's no longer cute or funny. It's desperate. It's screaming, "I'm not reading the room." And the room is done playing along. Hollywood may still fear these two. Journalists might be dodging lawsuits. Studios might cave to contracts. But the public? We're not scared. We're not silenced. And we're definitely not impressed by crushed ice interviews, pageant gowns, or performative feminism. No amount of controlled lighting or applause buttons is going to unring this bell. The empire of Blake is cracking, and this time, no one's rushing in with a glam squad or a new narrative to save her. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts below. We're just getting started.